Hey everybody, and welcome to the Jen Hamilton YouTube channel. This is crazy. I normally find myself on TikTok. However, I think that having some really good discussions together, maybe in a longer form situation, might be helpful. And so this is just going to be us hanging out together. You're in my home, and we're just going to have some talks together. So for today, I want to talk to you about something that I see really messing up people's birth experiences, and that is making really strict birth plans. Now, I love a birth plan. In fact, I will choose to take patients with birth plans because I know that there is a lot of expectation going into this birth experience, and I want to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm following it closely as I possibly can. But one thing that birth plans are typically trying to do is plan for things in the best of cases, right? So we can write the things that we really want, write the things that we really don't want. But sometimes what happens is there might be something a little crazy that goes differently, and that can cause some grief and trauma. So let's talk about what kind of things you might typically see on a birth plan. So while we're talking about this, I would love it if you would tell me in the comments something on your birth plan that you were so glad that you had. What did you put in there that you were like, this is genius? I'm going to put it on every birth plan. Now, number one, you would have things like, what kind of pain relief techniques do you want? Do you want an epidural? Or do you not want an epidural? Do you want to use laughing gas? Do you want to use IV pain medicine? A lot of times I'll see no vacuum, which is kind of like a suction cup that we put on baby's head. No forceps, which are kind of like tongs that we can use to help babies get out quicker. No C-section. Typically, birth plans are planning for interventions that we do or do not want. And typically, it's a do not want situation. Now, the trouble with birth plans is that they plan for typically things going in a spontaneous labor situation with little to no intervention. I love it when it's able to be that way, but you may get to the end of your pregnancy and have some things go differently than you thought. So I want to give you a scenario and talk about how maybe it could have gone a little bit differently. So I was caring for a patient who had planned her entire pregnancy for a water birth. Now, her birth plan was very much, no intervention, no vacuum, no forceps, no C-section, no IV, no Pitocin. All of the things on her birth plan were preparing for a situation in which she goes into labor spontaneously and everything is going great. The trouble is that she hadn't planned for any other circumstances other than those things. So she came in to the hospital after her water had broken, but the trouble was her baby had taken a big, fat dookie dump inside of her. Now that's called meconium. Now in her situation, when she came in, her baby was not having a great time. So her baby was in distress. Her baby had pooped inside, and guess what? A water birth was no longer in the cards for her. She had risked out of a water birth. As soon as she walked in the door to the hospital, that is what she was met with. That like her dream birth scenario was flushed down the dookie toilet that her baby pooped in. When I met her, her world was shattered. Super upset. And for good reason. She had spent her entire pregnancy planning for exactly how she hoped and thought that things were going to go. And then upon her first moment in the hospital to have that taken away was a lot of grief and a lot of trauma. One thing I told her was that just because things aren't going exactly how you hope they would, doesn't mean that we can't have an amazing birth experience together. She did not go into labor on her own after like days. And so we ended up having to induce her, ended up with an IV. She ended up with Pitocin, ended up with a lot of things that she didn't want. And I asked her in the beginning, like, how do you best make decisions? Like, what kind of information do you need to make those decisions? She was able to hold her baby in her arms after birthing her baby vaginally and say, I feel good about all the decisions that I made for myself. And I can't ask for anything more than that as a labor and delivery nurse myself in taking care of her. I'm going to tell you a trick, okay? It's not really a trick. I'm going to tell you a way that you can plan for your birth and plan for those scenarios that may come up and allow yourself the grace and the freedom to make decisions that make sense for you in the moment with the information that you are given. So I'm going to teach you how to do something called birth vibes. So what is birth vibes? So birth vibes is a mindset, a way of life in going into your labor and your birth that accounts for anything that could happen, to where you can stand at the end of your birth and say, I made good decisions for myself. So birth vibes is going to take into consideration a few things. So the first thing that's going to go on your birth vibes plan is who is on your team. Who are the people that you want there that are going to be the most supportive of you? Now, I want to challenge you to think about people who are really going to be there for you, and maybe not necessarily the people that maybe somebody else expects to be there, right? So for instance, if your baby daddy is Dwayne and you know that Dwayne is going to care more about what's on his Xbox than caring about how to help you the best, maybe Dwayne needs to stay at the house. Okay. I want you to be selfish. I want you to think about the people who are really truly going to protect your peace and not cause more stress to you. Let's say that Dwayne says, I want my mama to be in there. You can have that if you want it, but if you don't want it, you can ask his mother to remove her pants and poop on her living room floor in front of you and see if she wants to do that. She probably won't. If she doesn't want to do that, then you say, then you can't see me poop. You may or may not poop. I don't know. It may happen. Who's on your team? What is their relationship to you? Because that's helpful to me also, right? Because sometimes I'll have like a man in there. I don't realize it's the brother. And who do you not want there? If there's one thing I love being, it's a bouncer. I love to be a bouncer of birth, okay? If you tell me that Aunt Martha is not allowed, why is there so many fireworks? If you tell me that Aunt Martha is not allowed to be in there, I will absolutely make sure that Aunt Martha cannot be there. We're going to write that down on our birth vibes plan. To have a more informed and empowered birth, you can hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell. And that will have us have more conversations together and we can be prepared together. The next thing I want you to write that is going to help me take care of you as your nurse is what has happened in your life that might cause today to be a little more difficult than the average jelly bean. You can be as specific or as not specific as you want, but it is so important in order for me to care the best for you if I know certain things that may make today more difficult. Let's say that your mom has cancer and she can't be in a hospital because she's immunocompromised and it was really important to you that she was here. Well, that can help me take care of you because I want to know how can we include your mom even if she's not here. So in talking about things that may make today hard, sure, it could be like a family member who was supposed to be there and they're not able to be there, but it could also be something that 1 in 3 women globally have experienced, and that could be sexual trauma. In having a baby, there's a lot of attention on an area that may be connected in your mind with some very terrible, painful memories. And I want to be able to be respectful of that feeling that you may have and also be able to help you through it. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't have sexual trauma, I'm going to try to cause trauma to you. That's not it at all. But I think that it's important as your care team that we can have really, really, really serious conversations about how we can best protect your mental health during this really vulnerable time. Some other things that may have happened to you over the course of your life that may make today more difficult is if you've had hospital trauma before. Do you remember being in a hospital where they had to like hold you down for an IV, or if you've had somebody not listen to you before in the hospital and that was really triggering? All of those things can be helpful to me to be able to take care of you better. The next thing that you're going to put on your birth vibes plan is how best you make decisions for yourself. Are you someone who needs somebody to shoot it to you straight? You need the nitty-gritty info, and I don't need you to sugarcoat it. I need you to tell me exactly what I need to know. Are you somebody who needs more of a gentle approach and you feel overwhelmed if somebody shoots it to you straight? Are you somebody who needs just the basic facts? Or are you someone who needs every specific detail? Are you someone who needs maybe lots of time to make a decision? And in that case, maybe your nurse comes to you early with some things that they're seeing that could come up on the horizon. Are you somebody who's going to want to make a decision, and that's a decision that you make and you feel good about it and you move on? Tell your care team how they can best relay information to you in order for you to accept it, process it, and use that information to make really good decisions for yourself that you feel good about at the end of the day. Another really important thing that I want to know as your nurse is what feels good to you. Whenever I grew up as a little girl, okay, a little baby squirrel, my mom, when she was taking care of me when I was sick, she did a few things that to this day, if I am sick, I want those things, okay? So the first thing that she would do is if I was throwing up, she would hold the whole weight of my head in her hands with a cold washcloth as I'm puking my guts out, okay? Sorry if you have emetophobia. That was probably not very nice. Other things that are comforting to me, whenever I was sick, my mom would make me orange Gatorade slushies in the blender. Loved it. You may have things on there that may not make sense to someone else, but I'm telling you that it is so helpful to us as nurses to know, like, hey, this is really comforting to me. But on the flippity flop of that, I also want to know, what is annoying to you? There may be things that I see as comforting that I tried for you and you feel like nails on a chalkboard about it. For instance, many people love to have their hair played with, rub their fingers through it, touch their hair, touch their head. Don't you do it to me. I don't like that. But I'm a people pleaser, and I will hold all those feelings inside. Yes, thank you. I appreciate this so much. When in my mind, I'm like, get off of me. I hate this so much. It's helpful for me to know what is comforting to you, and then also what is annoying to you, because I want to know those things. And it will help me to not do trial and error where I am annoying the heck out of you to where you don't like it anymore. Instead of writing down, no, think about situations in which those things might be different. I'll give you this example. I have many people that come in wanting to have an unmedicated birth. Life before the birth happens and they don't have as much reserve as they thought they would going into the birth. So for instance, I've had a patient want to come in and have an unmedicated birth, but the whole night before, they were up all night long with a sick child, okay? And then they go into labor in the morning. Well, they don't have the energy or reserve in order to get through something like that. So they had less tolerance for the pain that they were experiencing because they were exhausted. There may come a situation where you end up deciding to do something different. What I don't want that decision to do is cause you grief over like a pass-fail situation with your birth where you feel like, oh man, I got an epidural. I didn't accomplish my goal. So it's not a pass-fail. It's being able to take in the information that you have at that time and make decisions that feel good to you. I also love knowing what is the most important thing to you besides healthy mom, healthy baby. You're going to hear people say that. I don't like that saying because I think that's the bare minimum. But besides healthy mom, healthy baby, what is the most important thing to you? For some people, it's get through this without having an epidural. Sometimes the most important thing is that I want to be able to move around. Sometimes the most important thing is I want to include my sister in this process because she means a lot to me. There are going to be a million different things that are the most important to different people. It's important for me to know what's important to you so that I can best advocate for what is the most important to you. And when we're talking about those birth plan things, like those interventions that you may put down as like, hey, I do want this or don't want this, it's helpful for me if I understand the why behind it, because I can best advocate for you. So let's say that you don't want continuous monitoring because your last baby had continuous monitoring and you couldn't move around. So that's important for me to know that that is the barrier to that, so that if things change, let's say we're doing intermittent monitoring and then like your baby's acting a little suspicious, if we need to change to continuous monitoring, how can I, as your nurse, make it to where you can still move around? right? So we have wired monitors that can be difficult to move around in because you're kind of on a leash. But then we also have wireless monitors, depending on the hospital. And then some hospitals even have like a sticker monitor to where you are unencumbered by a leash that you can still move around. So it's so helpful to me if you tell me exactly what is kind of fueling the decision so that I can help advocate for the things that you want. So for instance, if you say like, I really don't want Pitocin because I had Pitocin last time and it caused my baby distress. Perfect. Excellent. If you are going through your labor and everything's going hunky-dory and a doctor comes and said, okay, time to start Pitocin, I can say, au contraire. This sweet girl does not want Pitocin. So let's talk about it. And then I can help advocate for you. And also talk to the doctor about like, hey, she has serious concerns about this because last time she had it, her baby was in distress. It's very helpful for me if we talk about the why. And if I'm asking why, it's not because I'm trying to talk you into doing something. It's because I can better advocate for you if I know where your head is on a decision. So birth plans can be great in helping your care team be able to help craft with you the perfect birth experience, but there are going to be things along the way that maybe you didn't anticipate. And I'd say like 99% of births don't go exactly according to plan. I love it when they do, but there's usually something, just a little something that goes differently than you thought. And so having birth vibes as your plan and talking about how you want to be supported, who you want on your team, how you best make decisions, what is comfortable to you, what is annoying to you, what is the most important to you. These kind of things can help you to have the birth experience of your dreams, even if things go differently. If you are pregnant right now, you likely have a whole bunch of people, including me, telling you how best to have a birth that you feel good about. Now, I believe that one of the best ways to do that is through having birth vibes and thinking about how you best want to be communicated with and who you want on your team so that no matter what happens, you can leave that birth experience feeling informed, empowered, and just downright awesome about what just happened. Thank you very much. Wants his mama to... It gave me a thumbs up on here. Oh my Lord, what is happening? Okay, that was great. Yay. So let's say that your baby's mom... Wait, okay. Who is on your team? Why does it keep giving me a thumbs up? Hey boys, be very quiet, please. Thank you. What? All right, do you feel good about it? Okay, if you feel good about it, you can go ahead, okay? I love you. I forgot what I was saying. What was I talking about? I talked about Martha coming up there. Oh, trauma. Some other things that may... Are you somebody who is going to want... How do I make this stop making noise? Focus. That sounds like a good one. Do not disturb. Yeah. Okay. I had one more thing I wanted to say. Man, it was right there on the tip of my brain. Oh, okay. Sorry. How to end it? Let me see.